heard all about it from his father.
Let's close it up. There he comes right now. Inside. Unbelievable. Look shot.
Ja?
Evan.
They're just too good.
Welcome
Welcome to the Mind of Basketball Podcast, also known as the MLB Podcast, NBA Finals Edition. I'm Evan.
I'm Ja.
This is our basketball podcast where we recap, break down, and analyze players and teams in the finals from the previous games from the previous day. Ja, man, they're
look now.
they're just too good. I'm thinking in my head about all the things that the Bucks have messed up on. You know, obviously they were very inconsistent from deep. You know, also their other two-star players were just not there offensively. But it's just the Suns team, man. They have it all. They have it all.
Yeah. And yeah, man. Let me tell you something. This was almost like game one, but yet a little bit of changes for the better or for worse for the Bucks team. I'll say that for a fact. Cause somebody got hot. I don't think we need to mention him. Somebody got hot. Even though it was kind of, in my mind, I was making it kind of controversial a little bit because of the fact that, you know, most of it came at something that he's supposed to be really bad at or weak at, but he converted. But outside of that, he was doing it all night, being aggressive, doing what he does. And again, I don't gotta bring up his name now. Like, I know who he is. Like, you know, he's
someone you hate.
Yeah.
So it's probably hurting your soul just saying that.
Who could I compare him to?
Well,
I don't know. He don't got no skill. He just runs and dunks.
Well, they compared him to you know, someone who was also dominant in the paint in his era.
Yeah.
And when you look at this, Superman. Yeah, not Dwight. Shaq. You know, they compared him to him because when you look at the stats in terms of paint production in the playoffs, Shaq was the first three in terms of seasons, and then right after that, it was Giannis this season. Just goes to show you how dominant Giannis has been in this postseason, and he's been playing great. I mean, he has a career high in points this postseason, and he had his best game this postseason so far. And what a stage to have it on. Exactly.
And specifically in that third quarter, not to jump ahead, but specifically in that third quarter, he single-handedly, like in my opinion, in that third quarter, he single-handedly or 98% did most of the work for that Bucks team in terms of scoring load, aggression, getting into the paint, and just scoring. And when he did settle, and which is things that people don't like to see, but the reason why he settles because of how great the Suns defense was, he actually did convert at times. He converted most of the time. So I can't hate this time. You lucky, Giannis.
Nope, can't be the player hater for now. And yeah, you're right. Giannis, he made a three in that third quarter. He took some mid-range shots and made it. Had a lot of post up fadeaways that he had going for him. You know, a little Dirk little fadeaway post up shot. And that's what because when Giannis, we all know how dominant Giannis can be. There's nobody on in basketball that can stop him 1-on-1.
Yeah.
There's nobody. And when
Kawhi.
Kawhi, Ibaka, Lowry, Gasol, Siakam, and Nobi, Kawhi, and those guys too. Nick Nurse coaching. But Giannis, I mean, when he got going in the third quarter, I mean, there was just nobody on that Suns team that could do nothing. There was just nothing. He was just scoring at will. The only thing they had was fouling. Once he got a rebound, which he was getting a lot of them last night, or once he got the ball in the paint, all they had to do was foul because there's nothing that they could do. Once Giannis is in that position, it's going to be a bucket. I mean, he put on a scoring machine. Scoring onside last night. He had 20 in the third, which is, I believe, the third highest in a quarter in NBA Finals history. He had 42 on the night in Game 2 of an NBA Finals.
Yep. It's just unfortunate that on the night that he has that in terms of point production,
nobody else scores for him. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, sorry. There's no need to say sorry. They should be saying sorry to themselves for the way that they played. You know, no point production from anyone else. The only person who was so truly fighting out there was Pat.
It's a
Patrick
shame.
Star. So,
it's a shame that your second best offensive player is Pat Connaughton on the night.
Yep.
Unless Pat Connaughton drops 30 or 40, that should not happen. He had 14 last night, and he played really well. I want to give him credit. But the Bucks are not going to win like that. They're not going to win. Like I said, unless he drops 30 or 40, they're not, or 25, they're not going to win. Middleton and Drew Holiday, when your two other best players, besides Giannis, are struggling offensively, and I mean, see, Holiday, he can, even though he didn't have the best of scoring games and he kind of got it going with the key buckets late in the fourth quarter, he was great defensively.
Yeah.
I mean, they respect him enough and believe and trust him enough. I mean, he was switching on. He was guarding Booker and Paul on a lot of key possessions.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. And what an impressive block he had on Ayton too. That was I didn't expect that. I'm not even gonna lie. I did not. I know he's a great defender, but I did not expect him to get up that much to block a dude like Ayton, to be honest. So yeah, you're right. His defensive intensity was still there, even though his offensive production that we know he could put on wasn't anywhere to be found. But yeah, and I think that's what, along with Giannis's dominance within that first part of the second half, and along with other things, I feel like the reason why the Bucks still was able to stay close was only because of those two things. Because just imagine if Giannis just imagine if Giannis didn't have this game, this
20-point blowout.
Yeah, exactly. It would have been a 20-point blowout if he did not have this kind of game.
Yeah, and I mean I don't think that's the debate. And Drew Holiday struggled all night, and I was just watching. I'm just like, he was settling in certain moments, and he was trying to shoot threes and all that, and trying to shoot jump shots instead of really going in. But I'm just thinking, he was just missing shots. I mean, he was attacking. He was in the paint. He was just missing.
Yeah. He just couldn't get it going. He tried everything in his willpower to get it going. Drew and Chris, they both tried, but they just couldn't really convert. And it's like, you know, there's going to be games like this, but it's really tough and harsh, especially on your psyche when it's happening in crucial moments such as Game 2 of the NBA Finals, because this is where you cannot go cold. Like you could go cold in the game in the regular season, obviously, or go on a short slump as long as you could bounce back from it.
Not in the
But
NBA final.
not in the NBA Finals, and the bad moment just happened for them in the NBA Finals.
I mean, this is you know this can't happen. This is the biggest stage. You know, this is the biggest stage of this season. This is the biggest stage of your career. You have to show up.
Exactly.
And how they struggled, Middleton struggled as well. I mean, he barely touched double digits. He had 11 points. And that's your second best player. You're not going to win. You're not going to win like that. And like I said, you can go through all that and why the Bucks lost and all that, but I mean, the Suns team, they just, like I said, they just won more than the Bucks lost. If that makes sense. This Bucks team, the Suns team, the reason, a lot of the reasons why Middleton and how they were struggling was because of their defense.
Yeah. Again, this This Suns team, their defense has just been on point like this. Everything. Again, we know we can't. Obviously, Chris Paul has been kind of known as a two-way star throughout his career, of course, even though we just look at him as a dude who could impact the game on all aspects as a 6-foot guard. But there's nobody on this team who you could kind of point out and say defensively they're amazing. Like, of course, you could say Mikal Bridges and make a case for him, but outside of that, you can't really look at anybody else to say, oh, that's a standout defender, great defender.
Jay Crowder.
Jay Crowder, of course, too. I wouldn't take away from him. But outside of those two, you just can't really name who else could play defense individually like that. It all relies on team and communication, because you know why? Defense takes effort. And that's what the Suns were doing all night in terms of what they were doing on the defensive end. They were putting in effort. They were communicating. They were switching. They were making it tough in the paint. They were making, especially if you saw.
No, keep going. No, keep going.
Yeah. As I was saying, again, communication, switching, making it tough in the paint, especially if you've seen the assignment that they did on Giannis, in which, even though he still had his best game, they still did what they had to do to try to limit him in his ways. It's just that he converted each and every time, in terms of they wanted him to settle. Or when he did get into the paint, they fouled him or they made it aggressive on him in the paint, knowing that if we don't be aggressive, we know that Giannis is going to be Giannis, which he still was. But hey, again, they still try their best to make it difficult on him.
Yeah, and this is why I say the Suns team is they're just too good and just better all around, is because the Bucks, the main reasons why they stayed in this game, Giannis, helped Pat Connaughton as well, and their defense. They brought the intensity defensively, much more than compared to game one. You can see it. They limited current fouling. The Suns didn't get to the foul line as much as they did in game one, not nearly as much, but they still was able to not foul and still play aggressive defensively. Yeah. But this is why I say this Bucks team is just better. I mean, look at that possession at the end of what was it, second quarter? Yeah. Or the third quarter? Oh, no, it's the end of the second quarter.
You meant Suns team. You said Bucks team.
What?
You said Bucks team. You meant Suns team.
This is why I say the Suns team are better. If you look at the possession at the end of the second quarter, which I'm pretty sure everybody's seen, in which the ball movement by the Suns, and what was so amazing about that play is it was amazing ball movement, but it was also amazing defense. Every time the Suns looked like they had an open shot, a Bucks player came right there. right onto contest. And then they passed it up, and the Bucks player came right onto contest. Then jumps, hands up, stayed still, passed it, right into contest, pass, deflection. Suns got it back. And that play still ended in an and one for the Suns. Throughout all that scrambling, throughout all that great defense by the Bucks, it still ended up in an and one for Ayton and the Suns.
James Naismith will be so proud.
I mean, it was great basketball on both sides, and it ended with the better team getting the upper hand.
Yeah. And you want to talk about coaching and strategy and stuff. It was one specific thing that just showed me the difference between Coach Budenholzer and Coach Williams.
But Giannis taking the ball off the court again.
Not even that, but something that happened really, you know how they usually have the wired talks and stuff like that? I think some things out, and I'm not saying that Budenholzer doesn't do that or anything like that, but you could see the connection between needing your players to get onto that another level and what you have to do and how you're willing to take that step to do it. It was a conversation which Williams was talking with Ayton, which Monty was talking with Ayton, and he was talking about how your production, your expectation level has been this high in these playoffs. You need to go out there and exert yourself still, try your best to score at will at all times. Be what you've been doing for all of this postseason and for what you've been trying to show us all of this season, you know? And that's what that right there separates the coaching for me a little bit, even though it wasn't a playoff, so it separates the coaching. Like, you know, Monty is willing to do anything in his willpower to make his players understand what's at stake, what's on the line, and everything, and is willing to show them, hey, don't put your head down, don't give up now, too easy. Well, they're not giving up, but you know, he's showing them that even if their thing is still high, keep it there. Do not give up, no matter how the game is going. And I think this is, and he's showing it along with the fact of his strategies and things how he's been doing. This Suns team just is clicking well. And do we have to remind people that the fact that just 10 years, within 10 years, they were never in this situation before. It's just crazy, man. I just want to say that.
Yeah, you're exactly right. 10 years of misery for the Suns team. 10 years of misery. And yet they're in the NBA Finals. Like it's just crazy to think about. But just real quick, we talked about a lot of the defense and all that, but the offense of the Suns was spectacular all night. You know, I'm talking about Devin Booker came up big time late in these situations, late in the fourth quarter, especially when the Bucks are trying to get back into the game more. After cutting the lead within 6, he had big threes, you know, late in the game. And for a player that young and still being that skilled, that mentality and being in this situation, playing the way that he was playing, 31 in game 2 of the NBA Finals, I mean, spectacular. Mikal Bridges. I mean, you talked about him defensively, but his offense is so vital for this team because he takes off the pressure of guys like Chris Paul and Devin Booker, along with hitting the shots, along with slashing and cutting, and he can handle the ball and he can shoot. I mean, he's such a key piece for this team. I cannot stress that enough. How good of a player he is for the Suns team, how important he is for the Suns team. And of course, you got Chris Paul, the maestro. I mean, what else is there to say about Chris Paul? No, it wasn't the 32 that he had in game 1, but it's because Mikal Bridges stepped up. It's because Devin Booker stepped up late as well. And he was a facilitator, and he was a playmaker, and he was also hitting shots when he needed to. Yeah. That's just how special Chris Paul is.
No question, man. Again, the Suns team, they're dominant on both ends of the floor once again, or just strategically, more intelligently. Again, you talk about being led by their point guard, their maestro, in terms of how he was having his impact on the game. Devin Booker, a Kobe-esque performance once again, you know, be legendary. His skill set was just on full display. He was do whatever he wanted out there offensively, of course, because he's just like that. And you talk about Mikal Bridges, came up big time as their third option. Ayton not having the best games in terms of scoring. He stepped up big time in terms of doing it on the defensive end, but also like stretching out the floor, hitting his shooting deep range shots and things like that, getting into the paint, drawing fouls. You gotta give it up for him.
Mm-hmm. And one other key thing about this one, I always mention the inconsistency of the Bucks from the 3-point line. Well, last night they went 9-31. As for the Suns, 20 of 40, 50%, along with the 8 3-pointers they had in that first quarter. They had it going from deep, unlike the Bucks, who seem to be flip-flopping when it comes to shooting the 3 ball. So that's just another key as to why the Suns won game 2. But yes, the Suns do take game 2 of the NBA Finals and take a 2-0 lead in this series, 2 games away from getting their first NBA championship. But that could be 2 very long games, depending on how the Bucks come to play in these next few games in Milwaukee. Because game 3 and game 4, they head to the Deer District.
Yes, they do.
And head on their home floor. But also, before we move on and wrap it up, or want to give our thoughts to Dario Saric. This was announced injury of game 1. Was a torn ACL, and obviously he's out for the rest of the finals. We all know what a torn ACL is. Anybody that watches sports, anybody that watches basketball, that's just one of the most devastating injuries in sports history that can shorten a player's career. That can also end a player's career, and that can just slow it down exponentially. Especially, and you don't want to see a player getting hurt in this big of a stage. You want all both teams to be healthy because it's the NBA Finals. You want the players to play. I know the players want to play, and so that's just a big loss for the Suns. Feel bad for Dario Saric.
Yeah, it's tough because he's been a valuable piece for his team in terms of how his skill set is, in terms of how he could help this team more out again offensively, in terms of his ability to pass, his ability to space out the floor, and just things like that, and just play his natural play style, But it hurts for him. But also, the thing I really like about it, even though that has happened, again, you usually see teams, especially as good as the Suns, they basically start to it takes a hit a little bit. It hits them a little bit. I know, of course, he's not
he's not that as important of a player.
Yeah, but the teams, when they need all their players within to stick together and stuff like that, it will take a hit. But yet the Suns teams look like they're still flourishing amazingly, of course, because again, he's not that important of a player, but yet you see most teams still go through it. But yeah, but this team just never really took a hit. They're still fighting through.
Also, Torrey Craig got hurt last night in game 2 of the finals, and he left in the third quarter, didn't return. So hopefully he's okay. He's actually kind of more important to this team than maybe Saric is. So hopefully Torrey Craig comes back healthy and ready to play for game 3. Prayers out for Dario Saric. Speedy recovery for him, and speedy recovery for Torrey Craig as well. But all right. I guess there's no other news, no other things to talk about besides just previewing game 3 of the NBA Finals. As this finals goes to Milwaukee for game 3, ABC at 8:00, up 2 games to nothing. The Suns look to take a 3-0 series lead against this Bucks team who look to get back in this series with this pivotal game 3 in Milwaukee. Who do you have for game 3?
I have Milwaukee win game 2. It disappointed me, but I don't think this time. Yeah, I know who you told me, but I don't think it's going to happen this time in game 3. You know, too much is on the line, too much at stake. They're at home. They're really good at home, you know, and just think about this. You say it so many times, but you don't want to be down 3-0. You do not want to be down 3-0. So Milwaukee better think about this. The whole state of Wisconsin better think about that. You know, being down 3-0 is not cute. Probably being down 3-1 is probably okay, but being down 3-0 is not cute.
It's not cute at all.
That's all I gotta say.
You know what I say? 3-0, that's series. No chance.
Exactly.
No chance. There's no chance you're getting back and winning this series if you're down 3-0. The history's on my side.
Exactly.
So in that sense, I do have the Bucks winning this game. It's a big game. It's a must-win game for them. They don't want to risk going down 3-0. They do play a lot better at home than on the road. But the Suns also play great on the road as well. Almost just as good as they do at home. But, you know. Big game 3, Sunday. We'll see what happens in Milwaukee. But all right. Let's wrap things up, Ja. Final thoughts? Anything?
Again, praise up to Darius Saric. You know, another good win by the Suns team. They just shocking us in CP3. My God. Two more wins. Well, let's not speak it out there, but just potentially 2 more wins away from doing what he's been waiting for us for such a long time. Since we were little kids, you know. He's about to be able to do it if he could pull it off potentially. So.
Yep. As for the Bucks, Middleton, Holiday, please, you have to step up game 3. I mean, Giannis is out there running, playing defense and offense, tired as hell, on one leg, dropping 42. Yeah, he needs help. He's gonna need help.
Yeah, no question.
Can't put the team on his back and expect to win. The NBA Finals. It's never gonna happen.
Hey man, LeBron James carried the team on his own
to the finals. Did he win?
Well, ask Scottie Pippen that.
What? What does that mean?
Hell, nothing. You don't know about that situation?
I don't know what he said. What did he say?
He said LeBron won championships. Like he said something.
Oh like, yeah. He said LeBron won championships when he was like when he had no help.
Yeah, when he had no help. Yeah, basically.
Well, no, he's right though. D-Wade barely had any legs. Chris Bosh wasn't in Toronto. Kevin Love wasn't in Minnesota. Kyrie hated Bron, so I mean, AD. I mean, I was gonna say he was injured, but he was playing. So. No. I see your point. I see what you're trying to say. But yeah, Scotty's dead wrong. Giannis needs help. Middleton and Holiday, maybe Brook Lopez, maybe even. He's gonna need help, specifically from those 2 guys. They don't step up. If they don't play better for the remaining of the series, that's it. They will have no chance.
Yeah.
They will have no chance. Giannis can't go out there and drop 80.
Oh, probably he can and still lose.
Wow. Imagine Kobe dropping 81 and losing. Kobe upset for the rest of the year. But all right. That is all for today's podcast. So with all that being said, Thank you guys for watching today's podcast. Make sure to tune into Monday's podcast when we review Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment, support the channel, give us feedback, all that good stuff.
And also follow our IG and our TikTok down in the description below.
Yes, and of course, once again, I'm Evan.
I'm Ja.
And this is Mind of Basketball Podcast.
NBA Finals Edition.
NBA Finals Edition.